What's up, kind people of YouTube? My name is Ahmed, and welcome back to yet another video. The day that this video is releasing is a Wednesday, and I thought we should talk about Wednesday, the TV show, obviously. And first of all, I'd like to mention this. I absolutely love the show. It's very much up my alley. It's the kind of show that I lived. It's a kind of show that I loved, and it's a show that I would genuinely watch again and again. Despite the fact that there's a bit of color on my t-shirt, I generally think that black is my favorite color, and the fact that Wednesday generally walks around in black made me love the character a little more than usual. But that's not all that I'm going to talk about in this video. I want to talk about why the show is so good. Okay, it's not so good, it's decent. And I mean, I'm watching the show because of nostalgia and the Addams family, but here's the thing, right? Nostalgia works for a lot of people, and it worked for me. So I enjoyed watching Wednesday, and I think a lot of people enjoyed watching Wednesday as well. Firstly, one of the biggest advantages of Wednesday was the comedy of the show. Yes, there is comedy in the show, but it's not as straightforward as possible. It's a little under the nose comedy where it is a joke, but it's not really a joke. If you get the joke, good on you. If you don't get the joke, well, we can't help you on that one. So it's kind of that. The comedy was very smartly written into the show. It was very well written. It wasn't a bunch of one-liners and punchlines that went back to back and made you laugh throughout the show. It's not a laugh riot. So that's the one thing that I want to talk about the show, where the show has such wonderful comedy and the characters are performing their lines with such honesty that the comedy feels nice, the comedy feels happy. I never thought I'd say happy and Wednesday in the same sentence, especially with Addams family. I never thought I'd say it in the same line. Characters are performing their lines so happily that you are genuinely interested in the work that they're doing, and that makes the comedy come off really well. It makes the comedy work. A lot of the characters are straight faced throughout the show, especially with a bunch of characters being that straight faced and not as expressive. The writing has to be done really well, the dialogues have to be really well written, and that is something that the show does well. Each of the lines have some sort of leading point into the work that they're doing, and this, coupled with the performances of the actors, makes the show really stand out. And I can recommend it to almost anybody because I know they'll have fun watching this show. There's a lot of contrast between the characters themselves, how they dress, how they talk, how they deal with a lot of problems that they face. Papa Addams is, well, truly one of my favorite characters. So him just being on screen is such a sweetheart, man. Like, who cannot love Papa Addams? Okay, another thing that I really want to talk about was the fact that Jenna Ortega's performance, despite it being average at best, I felt that the show was carried by a lot of the supporting cast and people around Jenna Ortega and not by her, because there was a certain hype, a certain expectation from her, and I felt that the character that she was portraying was not, well, it wasn't relatable. The character that she was presenting wasn't relatable, and one of the reasons why I felt that happening was a lot of the times the character did not grow. You can make x amount of mistakes and then not learn from them, but then it has to reach a point where you start to question why certain things are not happening. Jenna Ortega's performance kind of was a little bit of a put off, although I'm not complaining about her performance. I genuinely felt that her performance was decent. It could have been better is what my point is. It could have been much better. The character could have been more than what she portrayed it to be. But overall, I think the character worked, and that's why the show actually does so well. Another character that I genuinely felt was really interesting was Principal Weems and her performance, because it's a very different character that she's playing. the actor. I can't pronounce her name to save my life, so I'm not going to take that risk. I'm just going to tell you that Principal Weems and the performance of the actor was really well done. You know what she looks like. There was a certain set of chemistry with each of the characters, and that made her character so much more interesting. It made her character darker. It made her an absolute gem to watch on screen. The final thing that I want to talk about is how Tim Burton pulls all of this together, because he manages to create a distinct universe for Wednesday Addams while keeping some of the originality true to itself and adding a bit of his own magic. I'm not talking about the cinematography, I'm not talking about the editing, I'm not talking about the narrative choices that the show makes, because at this point in 2022 we expect a certain level from each of the characters that are on screen. Each of the shows that are being produced, they have to have a certain level of cinematography, a narrative choices, particular style of editing, and over the years that's refined to a point where they are similar but not the same. So I'm not going to point out unless there's something truly magical about that. In this case, Tim Burton's magic really comes from how he creates an entirely diverse set of characters for the show, and that's what makes the show interesting. That's what makes the show lovable, and that's one reason why I would highly recommend that you watch this show. Also, that's been my time. See you in the next one really soon. Peace.